Buddhism teaches really that one must see a situation as it is without any preconceptions or wishes put or placed onto it. One doesn't want something to be something else, but one accepts it just as it is without any craving on one's part or other unwholesome mental states, any attempt or wish to change the thing that one looks at. One just accepts it. And from this acceptance, one develops a different sort of understanding of it. It's a free understanding. And this sort of free understanding is called direct knowing, pointing to the heart. The heart doctrine is the doctrine of intuitive understanding, that one doesn't need any outward cloak or clothing to accept something. One accepts it because one knows it is true in the depths of one's being. In Buddhism, life is looked upon as a continuous stream, a series of events which don't begin or don't end at any one point, but rather like a system of pulses which one can become aware of along the way, but which continue to infinity and begin from infinity. One's death is the first moment of one's new life, another life, and then that fades to another death, and so on and so on and so on. And during these different lives, we're gaining experience and gaining awareness of the nature of the process itself. For instance, if we do a bad act in one life, then we suffer that act in the same life or in another act. It's a law which acts quite independently of our belief in it or of our attempts to evade it. Sooner or later it comes back onto us. This law, which is usually referred to as the law of karma, is a central theme to Buddhist understanding of life and death, because the law of karma says that everything is like a wave. It changes form but still retains the essential nature. Buddhism teaches that these pulses of life, death, are like this dream state. It can't be said to be absolutely real. It can't be said to be absolutely false. It's something between the two. When one becomes a Buddha, when one becomes fully enlightened, one then understands this pulse. One then is free of it. One is completely liberated. The word Buddha, which is really a title rather than a name, simply means someone who's woken up, someone who's awakened. In a sense, awakened from a sleep, the sleep of ignorance. Karate training, forming as it does a active meditation practice, enables the practitioner to first experience within himself the different feelings in his body. It enables him to bring out love, it enables him to bring out hate, it enables him to bring out fear. In the path of training, one's put into so many situations, physical situations of possible danger, emotional situations where one is called to act upon someone in a physical manner, that one begins to become aware of instant reactions inside oneself. Smoothly, come on, you're not doing it to fight. Move around, Eddie, up here, move up, move up. You're getting the snakes all the time. Get your eyes. One may come up against a partner that one doesn't like, one hates, and one has to fight with him without the intention of harming him. And this is sometimes very difficult for people in the early years of practice, because when they're fighting, they really want to hurt their opponent. They don't like him, he annoys them, and they know they must have complete control throughout every movement, because it's very dangerous if one actually strikes a partner. And not so much noise. There begins a battle, a mental conflict, where one's body is doing something and one's mind is trying to slow it down, trying to arrest it. And eventually, during training, one reaches a crisis point in which the old hates and the new sort of loves reach an equilibrium. It's at this point of sort of conscious evening out that one decides if you're going to continue with training or if you're going to give up. And at this stage, one usually is beginning to practice meditation. One begins to watch these things. And often, one can become very sort of frightened of what is inside. One can become aware of a real deep aggression which is now developed. But also, one can be aware of the great sort of peace, of the great sort of evenness, which is just beyond the aggression. And at this point, the student has to make a choice. He has to decide whether this great peace, which he can just see the shadow of, is worth attaining. The physical skill that one can acquire from consistent practice in karate is limited to the circumstances in which it would be used if someone attacks you. But the mental sort of skill that one develops from inner sort of vision is something which lasts through all your life. It's a relationship that you form between you, yourself, and the world, the way that you deal with things. I think that someone who's fully exhausted his body potential, who knows exactly what his body can do, who knows just where and how deep his anger, his personal hate goes, is in a position to deal with it. And one is, in a sense, attacking oneself. One is trying to pierce through one's ego. One is trying to see what is at the heart of the self and to understand the self. So one keeps the movement simple and concentrates one's vision inside. One watches the thoughts and emotions that arise as one's practicing. It's an internal battle now.